Hi guys, Mew2King,
And it's Salem.
and today we're going to be talking about cheating on Wi-Fi tournaments, and we're also here with Vayseth and Bear.
What's up, guys?
Hello.
Oh, you wanted me to
delay
say
there,
sup
Bear.
back. Sup back.
All right, so there's been a lot of Wi-Fi tournaments going on due to the fact that we can't have all of our majors on a major schedule like we're used to with the PGR post and everything. There have been many players accused and actually caught for doing various different cheats on Wi-Fi. Some of them even frostbite Nintendo qualifier winners. And some of these actually date back to Smash 4, even as early as Brawl. Some of these guys have been cheating. So we want to talk about all the different things that have been happening and maybe some potential solutions from your TOs, myself included. So we have SNR releasing some players who are accused of cheating, screenshots of those players and what they're doing, including the following: multi-turning and stalling. So stalling their tournaments, breaking sponsorship contracts, colluding to avoid giving certain percentage of winnings back to their sponsor, doing different profiles in Smash Ultimate to do random only money matches where they only have certain characters unlocked. I think that's actually pretty cheating. That's crazy. How did they catch them doing? Bribing to attempt bracket manipulation, attempting to sell winnings, and because usually these Wi-Fi tournaments have some sort of trip or something associated to them, etc. So there's been a lot of these rampant cheatings going on. So you could probably see all of those tweets up there. Actually, let's talk about Salem real quick. So Salem, there was some drama with you and Waifu Wars back in the day.
Waifu
And-
War.
Or Knifeu Wars, sorry. Knifeu Wars. My bad. Knifeu Wars 2, wasn't it? Where it was like a trip to Evo that you just won for free and everybody put up a big stink. And I mean, you've been playing Wi-Fi since all is Brawl. So do you have any stories or insights based on some of those?
All I remember back then is people just basically just changing their friend code a lot and changing their in-game name in Brawl so that they'd look to be like anyone else, like any kind of random. And at the time on like All Is Brawl, you could just very easily make an account. So from there, people would go on ladders, probably try and fight this one guy, lose, and when you lose in those ladders, it takes an entire day to fight them again. So what they would do is get on their alt account, challenge them again, and they would do this for many different ways and for many different reasons. And it was like somewhat important because like you needed a certain ranking to get into to qualify for the main tournaments later on in the month. And as well, in those tournaments, you get money. But there was like also other small prizes like titles and stuff. Because like, let's say you get first, you get like a special.
Oh, like yeah, dude. Other fighting, especially in the arcade scene in Japan, those are actually really valuable.
Yeah.
It's because you can go to the arcades and then have like a special title for winning X, Y, and Z. Yeah, that's definitely a real thing. Yeah, and that's the issue back in Brawl, back in 2008, so over 10 years ago. And those same issues were coming up, as in Smash 4 with Knifeu Subtourney 7, where, a player was caught who won the tournament, which would have been a top 3 seed, but they posed as someone else who was not at all a known player whatsoever, and then ended up upsetting the number 1 seed of that tournament, running the whole tournament, and just kind of ruining that whole experience. And Nairo himself was like, I don't think I'm ever going to do a tournament with high stakes again because this is all the things that happen. This has been an issue that's been going on for over 10 years, and I'm sure it's not unique to Smash. I'm sure if we did a little bit of digging, we could probably find more Wi-Fi things, especially if we look into things like Fortnite and other ways, other games where there's a lot of high-profile cases of pros, getting caught with different kind of cheats and whatnot. So this is something that's been happening a while, and that's just the way it is. If we're going to have high-stakes prizes for these online tournaments, this is probably just the nature of the game. So we all kind of understand the issues and we know what's going on there, but we'd rather turn this into something constructive. So that's why we have Bear here. So Bear from Smash GG, and obviously somebody who did a lot of the PG keys and whatnot. So I'm just kind of curious, Bear, what are some things that you, as a high-profile tournament organizer of these Wi-Fi tournaments, have seen in the past, and what are some solutions that you guys have come up with in order to kind of combat some of these things that are going on here?
So, in general, like online tournaments are a kind of a different beast. I think a lot of TOs, especially when they approach it, they gotta understand it's not, especially if they're just only used to live events. It's not going to be the same as like a live tournament setting where you can monitor people and you know, check on them. Like online tournaments, like there are tools in Smash GG that you can use to monitor their chat. Like there's an actual in-game chat that people use. Like there's, so you can actually, as an admin, you can check on everybody's chat log, what they're saying. You know, if someone's like purposely delaying. Like I've actually had situations where I disqualified someone because they were stalling. Like they're like, hey, you know, like I can't connect, or like, or is to the point where it's like you really think that they're stalling because they're doesn't make sense why they would have someone wait 15 minutes and they're holding up the whole tournament. I guess like one of the big things is I would really like highly recommend anybody that's running online tournaments to have multiple moderators, just so it's not just one person, because that way they can check in and all the, basically anybody that's requesting a mod, because a player can actually request a mod if something is happening. And you know, I've done it where I moderated online tournaments that had like 2,000 people in it. You know, I wouldn't recommend that 1 to 2,000. Recommend one person for every 500 players, because essentially after an hour, like half of your players are gonna be eliminated anyways. So at least you'll be better positioned to deal with it. But when it comes to communication outside of the platform, it's really hard to really pinpoint that. Like you just have to be vigilant about it. And if people bring up something to you and you're running an online tournament, you'd have to take that as serious as if someone is cheating in a live tournament. And I think that's something that a lot of online TOs in general just got to be aware of that. Like you can't just be like, oh lol, it's online or whatever. But especially if you're putting up prize pools or a big prize. Like I run online tournaments for Mario Kart, and you know I'm very hyper aware of what if people are colluding or cheating and ways that we can do it. And I've literally disqualified someone from moving on to the finals because they did not follow the rules, and I didn't care about not. And they asked me, well, you know, I played like, well, you didn't follow the rules. You used an alt account. Like you can't do that. So, you know, I honestly, it's just being more vigilant. It's a different beast.
All right, so we have Mew2King Salem here. So I'm kind of hoping, like, can you guys ask Bear, like, you know, as a player, like, is there anything you're concerned about if you're entering some of these Wi-Fi tournaments? That's probably going to be our future for a while.
Okay, so you could have a pro player at just his casual friend's house, and then you could literally just like play there, but there's no way of knowing, because like it's not like all these guys are famous and they're required to stream. Like imagine an attorney of 2,000 people and you have to have 2,000 people live streaming at the same time. Like obviously you can't really do that.
When Critical Moist did the Soak series invitational / open tournament, and he's working with us, one of the things that he required was actually he wanted people to stream their matches, which not everybody did, but it was to create this specific issue to ensure that there's someone was, you know, that person playing. But in general, it's still you can't have everybody, you can't 100% prevent that, which sucks because you really don't know. And the only other way is to, if you're a TO that's hyper concerned that this is going to occur, you can have a system where you're saying, all right, you know, there's going to be a specific Discord channel for my tournament, and then each, you know, you essentially would have channels for the wave or for the matches, and then the moderator you would essentially have people just taking pictures of like, hey, this is me playing it. And I know it's a lot of work, but and even if they take a picture, they can just fake the picture. But like, it's at that point
I don't
you
agree
really
with
just
the
have
picture.
to make your best judgment.
The picture one, no.
So, no, it won't work.
I feel
so,
like
that's
like,
so
because
no.
like Nairo himself, even in a recent tournament, had like this like prove that you're on a Wi-Fi or not on Wi-Fi, that you're on a LAN adapter, which evidently a bunch of people got really mad at Nairo about. But he said, yeah, even people who had their friends who had LAN adapters were taking pictures and submitting them. And it's like, okay, so this guy's friend took a picture of a LAN adapter and he quote unquote passed
you can't necessarily prevent 100% of things.
You can
that
increase the
happen,
percent higher than a
but
picture.
you can at least put punitive measures as for your specific tournament if it does occur, and you're hyper aware of it. You would ban the individual from your series.
So like if somebody has a bad
All right,
track.
let's go, Jason.
Wait, no, wait. So I have an idea. So if somebody doesn't have a good track record online, if a TO chooses to allow them to still enter the future tournaments, for the TOs that do allow that, there should be like extra measures taken for those people specifically. For example, if player X has a warning against him, or he has been caught in the past doing something not good, like cheating or borderline cheating or something, or suspicious behavior, what you could do is take extra measures to like require them to stream their matches, or make it very, very, very difficult for them to try to do that again in the future.
Pretty much, as I'm in agreement with that. You really just the individual TO for the series, whatever they're doing, has to be vigilant and ensuring that one, they're aware of any individuals that could be compromisable to their competitive integrity for their tournament, but also, they're just gonna have to be stricter in their punitive measures. Like it's really hard it's not hard to tell someone you can no longer play, but also just make sure that like. Especially if someone does something bad and they make it far into the bracket, like you just have to make sure you lay the hammer down hard and quickly before things get worse. And that's pretty much it. Like aside from that, it's just being more strict and ensuring that you don't allow folks to essentially screw the system over.
Yeah, that's actually a great segue into what I wanted to talk about next, which was, from the TO perspective, what can you do? Because players, there's not a lot you can do, unfortunately, in the system, but I think TOs can do a lot. So let's say that I have a $1,000 tournament, because that's a reasonable amount of money that somebody like me could probably put into a Wi-Fi tournament, right? And if I want to put up that money and I want to try to maintain the integrity as best as possible, I want to come up with a solution. Like, for example, at Frostbite, we have those on-demand side events, right? Where everybody pays $1 and there's 8 people. They play it out. First place gets $5. Second place gets $3. Now, something that we discussed during that process was, how are we going to incentivize people not to pot? Because it's really easy if you're in, like, first and second place to be like, we'll just take $4 each, like, whatever, and then we'll just enter another bracket. You know what I mean? And there's nothing really wrong with that, and we can't stop people from doing it, but we do want people to play it out, right? We want it to be a full tournament experience. So what did we do? We were like, if you win the bracket, you sign the bracket, that bracket becomes a raffle ticket for sponsored prizes. So there's probably a couple different ways that we can incentivize people to do these kind of things. So let's go with this premise of a $1,000 tournament, right? We do an open bracket because that's the way we want to do it. And we sort of break it down into kind of like what Nintendo did, where they ran qualifiers for people to go to PAX, right? So, sure, when you have an open bracket, there's a lot of things you can't control, but you know what you can control? An invitational. So you put into your rules, hey, we have this prize pool on the line. We're going to do these different qualifiers. Once you qualify, you're into that. And then once those players are in that top bracket, you can put more strict rules on them, where you put the burden of proof on the player to make sure that they are the ones who are doing it. And you can't force 2,000 people to stream, but you can probably force 8 people to stream.
Oh.
That would be
the
a
most
way
suspicious
to
people.
mitigate that. No. You just, because you're doing an invitational, you're doing production, so you put into your rules at the beginning.
An invitational is usually a small amount of people. So invitationals
Correct.
invitationals, in a sense, are easier to work off of because you can just work with well-known players.
Oh.
And like
but
people that you
what
trust,
I'm
or
saying,
people,
Jason, is
small sample
if
size.
you go from an open tournament of like 2,000, you whittle it down to 8, and then you say up front, hey, once we get to top 8, we're going to do this whole production.
Or top
You're gonna
32, you have to
stream
prove
in.
everything. Yeah.
Right. And then, like, you can also, because...
So then even if you cheat up to there, you didn't cheat far enough to make it in the money anyway. So you're probably not making it much further to make any significant difference.
Oh.
It's very unlikely, statistically speaking.
This sounds effective.
That actually makes sense. So you have a 2,000... So you have like a 2,000 man tournament, right? You can cheat your way up to top 32, but then good luck getting further if you don't have real skills when you get in the top 16, 32, or top 8 where the money is and stuff. Good luck making the money, and even if you do, you won't get very far anyway, in the best case scenario.
So if you make like let's say, a
if you-
16-man invitation.
Yeah,
for
that
example,
actually makes a lot of sense. I actually like
and,
that idea.
and make it so like you have to.
Because you're not making
be
money
the top
anyway. Like, the whole
8.
point of cheating is to like make the money. But if they're not getting that goal, then they're less encouraged
so,
to
like-
go for that.
So let's say I'm a TO. I'm spectating these matches in a very specific lobby that like only you as the person can get the codes to, and then I'm watching the match while I also have paid commentators to commentate these matches. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a way to like have it so there's more credibility or reliability, or you can force a top 8 to be like, hey, you have to take pictures, you have to report this, you have to do the replay. Like we have serious money on the line. Like you have to go through X, Y, and Z. You have to submit to me a tax, you know, something like that like really holds the accountability to the player. And that's one of the best ways to come up with it, because like an open bracket is the Wild West. And honestly, like Bear can say this, we've seen some wild cheats at in-person events, and we've dealt with them as they've come up, as he talked about earlier.
Yeah, we had to kicked out someone, impersonating someone in real life at multiple tournaments. They're like, hey, yeah, I was like, no, I'm this person. Like, no, you're clearly not. I'm literally opening up your region's PR and your Facebook picture. This is you, right? And then they're like, oh, oops. And I'm like, yeah, oops, time to go. But like, but like you can't. But the thing is, like, like at that point where they weren't like, you know, in like top 32 whatever, but they were in phase 2 of a larger scale tournament. But we were able to at least let the next person know, hey, you're not playing that person anymore, because they basically lied. The worst case, the worst part is that you can't really redo all the matches before, because at that point it's too far in.
Sad.
So
We talked about a little bit how to protect yourself as a player and as a TO, just a little bit. I want you guys to tell me what you can do to kind of protect yourself, okay? Because this is a thing that's happening all over the place.
So, I don't know about the protect yourself part, but there's two things that from this conversation that I strongly agree with. I strongly agree with two things. One, when you get to top 16, extra security, extra measures taken no matter what, and that's like part of the agreement to signing up for the tourney. Like you have to actually read the rules and be like, okay, if I don't even have the option to stream myself or get all this and this and this and this proof, then I guess I'm not. Then I guess like don't bother entering or something. Like you need. That's the only way to ensure it. You do extra security on top 16 and enforce the rules no matter what. The other thing is people with a bad reputation. If you choose to not ban them and you choose to allow those specific people who are under suspicion to compete, extra measures should be taken against them specifically in addition to that. I think, obviously, there's no way to make it 100%, but I think the average percentage most of the time will increase dramatically if those two things are highly considered for each event.
That's actually the only thing you can really do about that stuff. There's not too much you can actually do to like fix the problem.
And if somebody that wasn't under suspicion is caught under suspicious behavior and or proof of cheating, from then on, depending on the TO's case-by-case basis and the proof and other factors, you either choose a small ban, a permanent ban, or they can enter future stuff, but extra precautions will be taken against them as somebody who has proven in the past they will or likely will cheat, or even if it's not like concrete proof, if they're under suspicion, so you don't ban them the next time, but you make sure that you really focus on them, just to make sure that, you know, the people with the highest percentage chance of cheating, especially if they're a good player that's going to make it far, because getting far and making money is the whole point. You focus on that extra hard.
no, I actually just want to echo what Mew2King said was on point. What I would recommend is ensuring that once you get into the position of a player where they're in the running to have a significant impact on who are in the winnings for like whatever prizing is, it's super important to ensure that they have to stream, or that there has to be super stringent policies regarding to what to confirm that those are the individual people. And then also I would highly recommend TOs to ask for help among your region, and get more people to be moderators so they can monitor folks. And then if people report someone for doing something, confront that individual if they're gonna register for your tournament. I mean, I wouldn't recommend confronting an individual prior unless you see them register for it. I don't think you don't necessarily have to do it unless you think they will, and they're gonna have there's a demand among your competitive players to like, hey, I don't want this person playing at all. Then you can let them know. But I do think it's the most important thing is making sure that once it gets to the point where someone is in the running for the prize, there's stringent confirmation measures to ensure that that's the actual person playing.
Well, I think that this was kind of great. I think that we came in here with a lot of darkness and not knowing what to do, and like, oh, look at this rampant problem. And you know, in the pre-video taping, Jason was like, oh, if this is what we know now, then the reality is actually 5 times worse. But I think at the end of this little thought exercise, we've come a little bit positive and come up with a constructive solution for how to, you know, deal with these tough times. So I want to thank everybody for coming here today. And yeah, let us know if you have any ideas, and let us know if you like this type of roundtable content that we've been doing, where we can bring in different people and talk about community topics.
So let us know in the comments below what you think of our opinions, solutions, and whatnot. And let us know for the details of such things, what types of details you would recommend. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell, and thanks for watching. Thank you, Bear, for joining.
Thanks, Jason. I would like to recommend, if you are going to use Smash-G, which I would recommend Smash-G to use for your online tournament needs for any variety of games, is to ensure that you look at the Help Center articles if you're a TO, and even if you're a player, just so you can familiarize yourself with how to play and how to manage it effectively. There's a lot of good articles out there. There's a lot of good videos on how you can actually run your tournament smoothly, but more importantly, making sure that you have a nice experience for everybody involved.
How are you talking while smiling at us the whole time?
I'm constantly smiling, 100%. Teeth is.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell, and thanks for watching.